Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to peel back the literal surface of a story I guarantee you're highly familiar with, but we're looking at it through a completely different lens. We're exploring timeless wisdom, passed down through ancient tradition that reveals a hidden blueprint of the inner self. For centuries, the nativity story has been read just as pure history. But what if we look at it through ancient astrology and internal alchemy? Today, we're unpacking a fascinating esoteric teaching that views these texts as a profound, literal map of your own spiritual journey.
Actually, the ancient texts themselves give us a massive clue right off the bat, urging us to look up. Take this quote from Genesis. It tells us the lights in the firmament are meant for signs. And in this esoteric tradition, signs literally means symbols. So this is hinting that to really understand these ancient narratives, we shouldn't just be hunting for historical dates. We need to look up at the stars and, well, deep within ourselves.
So that brings us to a huge question. When we read the Nativity, what if it isn't just some event locked in the past, but an eternal, present moment reality? In these ancient teachings, these stories are understood to be happening continuously, right now, inside of us, perfectly mirroring the cosmic dance happening above our heads. It's wild to think about.
All right, Section 1, the eternal trinity of time.
You know that classic phrase, "and it came to pass"? In esoteric study, that is not just old-school storytelling, it actually encodes a Trinitarian concept of time hidden right there in the very first line of Luke chapter 2. Think about it. It came, that's the future moving toward us. It comes into the presence, or the present moment, to pass into the past. It's brilliant, right? It proves the story is entirely timeless. It's constantly unfolding in the now, which is exactly where a true spiritual awakening happens.
Let's move to Section 2, the astrological tyrant.
Let's talk about the antagonist here, Caesar Augustus. According to this ancient astrological teaching, he isn't just a Roman emperor. Look at the etymology. Caesar is connected to having a thick head of hair, or meaning to cut, kind of like a Caesarean section. And Augustus, that means the exalted one, which directly links to the month of August. Astrologically, this represents the sun exalted at its absolute peak in August, ruling as this oppressive force right between specific constellations.
And if you look at the night sky in August, it perfectly matches this. You've got the constellation Coma Berenices, that's the thick head of hair. Then Cancer the crab, with its pincers meant to cut. And right there in Cancer, you have the Ocelli, the two celestial donkeys. So it's this crazy bit of cosmic wordplay where the tax assessment happens right by the celestial asses. The stars are literally mapping out the characters for us.
Now pay attention to how this ancient wisdom flips the idea of taxation. While literal taxation is just paying money to a government, esoteric taxation is a spiritual burden. This tyrant, he represents the human ego, or chaotic outer forces trying to levy and rule over your objective spiritual truth. It's basically the ego demanding total control over your inner divine spark.
Up next, Section 3, Bethlehem and Alchemical Purity.
So to escape this outer tyranny, Joseph and Mary journey from Galilee to Judea. But this isn't just a map of the ancient world, it's a timeline of a journey inside your own body. Galilee represents the leeward side, the frantic, chaotic winds of the outer world. To find peace, you have to travel up through Nazareth. That symbolizes the axis mundi, or the center of the world, which corresponds directly to your spinal column. And the final destination, Judea. That translates to the absolute center, the human heart.
This perfectly illustrates that famous ancient principle. As above, so below. The heavens, the scriptures, and our human anatomy perfectly align. The constellation Virgo, which is tied to the harvest, mirrors the Virgin Mary. And in the human body, that relates to the purifying function of the liver. Then they head to Bethlehem, which literally translates to the house of bread. Up in the sky, this aligns with the Virgo harvest, and inside the body, it represents the vital sustenance of your spiritual life.
So in this tradition, Mary being great with child is definitely not just a physical pregnancy. It signifies the completion of the alchemetic great work. It's this incredible inner merging of opposites, an alchemetic marriage that breaks down the walls of partition inside you. She's purified her vessel to birth the 365, and that symbolizes the inner light, the inner sun, which completes its perfect cycle in exactly 365 days.
Moving on to Section 4, the Cosmic Manger.
When it's time for this inner light to be born, they find absolutely no room in the inn. Why? Because the ego, Caesar, has completely blocked the center. So the child is born and wrapped in swaddling clothes. Now, esoterically, wrapping a child in linen strips is an ancient nod to mummification. Don't worry, it doesn't mean literal death. It's a beautiful symbol for shedding the old self, preserving the soul so you can step into an eternal, spiritual life.
Guys, this next astronomical alignment is absolutely staggering. The manger isn't a wooden trough. It corresponds directly to a star cluster in the constellation of Cancer called Persepe. And guess what Persepe means in Latin? A manger. And what's surrounding it in the sky? Those two celestial donkeys we talked about, plus a star cluster known as the celestial beehive. It is the exact center of the sky where the exalted sun gives birth to divine geometry. Just mind-blowing.
All right, Section 5, Shepherds of the Mind.
Let's shift our focus to the fields, where the shepherds are keeping watch by night. Up in the stars, the shepherds represent the constellation Auriga. It's known as the charioteer, but historically it was depicted as a shepherd holding a goat. Now there is a massive linguistic key here. Etymologically, Auriga is connected to words like aura and oral. It represents the oral act, literally, the act of hearing that small, still voice of the divine speaking in the quiet of the night.
And incredibly, this maps right back to our internal anatomy. Deep inside the brain, these inner shepherds are guiding the flock. This connects to a structure in the brain called the hippocampus, which actually translates to ram's horns. Through these inner ram's horns, we audibly receive the divine message. It's what opens our minds to mystical understanding and true inner peace.
Okay, on to our final piece, Section 6, Circumcision of the Heart.
The tradition says that on the 8th day, a profound, final act of purification happens, the circumcision. Now, astrologically, this lines up perfectly with Regulus. That's the brightest star in the constellation Leo. If you look at the stars forming the head of Leo, they are shaped exactly like a sickle, a circular cutting tool. And where is Regulus located? Right in the heart of the lion.
So esoterically, this is absolutely not a literal physical law to be followed blindly. Circumcising the heart means using that internal sickle to cut away all your hate, envy, and malice. It's an internal shedding of the ego's bitterness. You're clearing the way so that the inner king, that divine spark we talked about, can lead your life with absolute, unshakable love.
Right after this, an offering is made in Jerusalem. Offering 2 turtle doves mirrors the constellation Columba, the dove, and symbolizes uniting your inner opposites and washing away past burdens. They bring this to Jerusalem, which literally translates to the city of peace. The outcome here is profound. You are washed clean of the past, allowing you to dwell perfectly in the peaceful stillness of the present moment.
Ancient texts, like Romans 2:29, remind us over and over that true transformation is entirely internal. It says, circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit and not in the letter. This timeless wisdom is teaching us to cut past the literal, historical letter of the text to reveal the vibrant, living spirit within it.
So we've seen this timeless tradition map seamlessly onto the stars above and our anatomy within. If this incredible blueprint is indeed already written in the heavens, the real question isn't what happened 2 millennia ago. The question is, what universe is waiting to be born inside of you today?